Alright, I'm back again. It's been a while. Honestly thought that this video wasn't going to take that long to research. Well, I was very wrong. I was planning on releasing a video once a month, but I got a little backed up working on other stuff. But I will try to plan out my videos better and let y'all know beforehand so that y'all don't think that I just made one video and let the channel die. That being said, today I'll be going over an Italian author that I've enjoyed for quite some time now, who I think provides another interesting insight into contemporary Western society, although, like Byung-Chul Han, he's also quite the pessimist at times. I'm talking about Franco Berardi, but his friends, me included, call him Bifo. He's also another author that I rarely see covered on the English-speaking side of YouTube, even though he's way more in the media unlike other writers. But I thought that it'd be pretty cool to cover him and get more people acquainted with his work and then check out his interviews and all that jazz. Well, with all that yapping out of the way, I need to make clear that this isn't really an overview of all his works, just of some of his ideas, in a nutshell. We're starting off hot and dark like an easy bake oven, but in the dark. Here, Bifo tells us about what he thinks contributes to the rise of mass murders in the US, although we've seen more and more cases all across the world. The dollar, without its value being fixed to gold anymore, has become abstract. Money just kind of poofs into the bank account and disappears just as easily. A little number on the screen dictates whether or not I'll eat cup noodles, a steak, or if I'll eat sleep. According to Bifo, we now deal in signs. Not that kind of sign, but this one. This is why he says we now live in semia-capitalism, or sign capitalism. A sign is supposed to refer to something else. This is the difference between a signifier and that which is signified. Too much time on Reddit caused the regular ass dude to separate the woman from the girl next to them in class and become a fedora wearing incel living in the abstract world. For this individual, the girl next to him is the woman that he sees in the online memes, and he hates the woman in the memes because she won't appreciate his love for Star Trek, even though he would know that she also loves Star Trek if he would just get to know her. People online reaffirm his belief, and so he finds a comfortable home on Reddit, or 4chan, or Kiwi Farms. There's oddly enough a large amount of places like these. This space is a safe space, where you can hide from the competitive world of capitalism and the complex world of the concrete and tricky things like non-linguistic communication that involves bodily contact and emotions. Ew. His new identity is born, not as an American, but as an incel. He needs this identity, because without it, well, he'd be nobody. Because the internet connects everyone from everywhere with information about everywhere. You really end up being nowhere and a nobody. Some people know more fun facts about random topics than the political policies of presidential candidates of their own country. It's also hard for them to identify themselves with their work when they're on the verge of getting fired from their job because they caught their boss looking at some freaky things. They are replaceable, so they find their identity in aspects such as race, religion, gender, etc., rather than discovering themselves in a darkness retreat with fuckloads of ayahuasca. But that's just how it goes in the neoliberal, semi-capitalist world. The weak are cold and the strong survive. And so they get revenge on the strong to make sure that they don't die a weak nobody. They self-destruct. Well, that was pretty sad. And it doesn't get much better, but at least this one has a happy ending. You might ask yourself, how do we fix this? And well, it's not so simple. In this book, Bifo explains how we now live in chaos. Our sense of time can't keep up with the constant bombardment and acceleration of information that doesn't let us breathe at our normal rhythm. Order has to be established again through chaosmosis. What the fuck even is that? If there's crazy shit going on outside your house, sure you can close your door and pretend like it isn't happening, but sooner or later, it's gonna bust down your door like the FBI on Diddy. We should, according to Bifo, open the door just a bit to let some of that chaos in to start to breathe in tune with ourselves and the chaotic world around us. This doesn't really make a whole lot of sense, so let me put it this way. Being on the internet isn't bad, but spending too much time on it is. Open the door a bit to the chaos of the information oriented world, but don't let it absorb you, because then you fall into the rabbit hole of looking at weird shit on Twitter in public like it's normal. But looking at weird shit on Twitter with friends gives us comfort from the crazy world outside. We can form inside jokes with our friends and create new meaning through dialogue. Our friends might be people who are completely different from us, like a black Jewish guy from Eastern Europe who supports Vermin Supreme. But it's the dialogue between us that matters. It's also in these little pockets where the power of friendship is alive, and that our efficiency isn't holding up our relationship. Just because my friend's Katie is ass doesn't mean that I'm going to throw him aside to play with scum. I mean, sure, I'll clown him for it, but I won't abandon him because of it. This is how we begin to construct new meaning again, constructing the bridge of friendship across the abyss of meaninglessness. We don't go to war with chaos, but become friends with it, and finally breathe normally again. Alright, I left the most complicated one for last, so bear with me now since he covers a lot in this one. So hold your booties. Here he talks about sensibility, or in other words, our receptivity to emotions and the physical. This is characterized by conjunctive concatenation. All this really means is the mutual influence of one thing on another to create new constellations. His word, not mine. So, for example, when you fall in love and see a rock and then you get reminded of their favorite movie, it makes zero fucking sense, but it just happens. This is very different from connectivity, where things make logical sense and don't just jump to random things. But concatenation can only happen if you're sensible. If your friend starts making what appears to be gang signs at a party, you can probably understand that he wants to leave because he might have just done some dumb shit. It's only because you're friends that you can understand what his gestures mean. If not, then you would just think he's throwing up gang signs and you would promptly get beat the fuck up. But we live in a time of connectivity, where things go from point A to point B. Even the phrase making connections usually refers to getting acquainted with new people for some personal goal, not really to get to know the person. It gets hard to meet new people though, since the day is full of working and more working and some downtime to get ready to continue working. All connectivity and no conjunctivity also contributes to deterritorialization, a term he borrows from Deleuze and Guattari, which means a lack of homeland and identity. The US, according to Bifo, is a perfect example of this, since the Puritanism embedded in Americans asks them to let go of their past and create a new one, so that then they're able to be absorbed by the techno economic sphere. This was something present for me as a second generation American, since I knew that I didn't want my roots to be forgotten about. My parents taught me a decent amount of Spanish, although I knew a lot of other Latin Americans whose parents never wanted to teach them Spanish, since now they were in a new country. I would talk to them about their heritage, and it always seemed like they wanted to deny being Latino, and were this close to saying, I'm not black, I'm OJ. The lack of sensibility, the lack of recognition of one's own skin color, in this example, leads to disempathy. I'm not like them, one of them says. I'm different. They are uncivilized and impoverished. Why would I want to go over there? Or the old classic line, we don't want those kinds of people over here. Rather than have a conversation with those people, it's easier to just categorize them all as the same and leave it at that. You know, I should probably start picking authors that aren't so pessimistic. Maybe next time I find someone a little more lighthearted, because my little heart needs a small break from this kind of stuff. Anyways, I hope y'all enjoy this video, even though it took me an eternity to actually make it. I also try to keep you guys updated so that you don't think that I just quit. I just procrastinate and read other things instead of working on videos. Finally, I'll gladly take any feedback you guys leave in the comments and try to work on it since I'm still new to making videos. I also still haven't really thought about making an outro, so